So, 4 weeks ago, I did a video talking about impulse buying and I wasn't going to do it anymore. And I also talked about changing my fish room round, getting fish in tanks that were in pairs, species only, and moving some fish on. So in that 4 weeks time, we've done quite a bit of that. So in today's video, I'm going to show you some of what we've already done and some of the plans what are next. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Oscar tank. For those of you that would have seen my reel that I put out there, you will see that these are divided again. So what's been happening is the bigger Oscar has been beating up the smaller Oscar. This is the third time I have had to put a divider in this tank, because what happens is he traps him up in that corner there. So he gets him in this corner, leaves him there, and then just it's like he's biting chunks out of him. And then what happens is this Oscar gets stressed out and comes out in that fungus or whatever it is. And that's the third time it's happened. This Oscar here is absolutely brutal. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. All those people that try to give me advice, I get it, and I thank anyone who wants to give me advice. I do listen to what people tell me. But I have found in my experience, this is just my opinion, that the wild caught Oscars are a lot more aggressive than the tank bred Oscars. That's just my experience. This guy is absolutely brutal. So yeah, I need to think about what it is I want to do with this one, because he's going to kill it, if I'm honest. He's going to kill it. One of the big issues is room. So this is a 5-foot tank. Yeah, and you know, people have said to me, well, you've only got a pair of Oscars in there. I don't think it matters. There's nowhere for that Oscar on the left here to go to hide. So that's one thing I have to think about. I'm just spending time getting him back to normal, like I've done twice before, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it could just end up being this Oscar here plus the L number plecos. You get a good look at my L90 there. That is a phenomenal pleco, honestly. Stunning, stunning pleco. But there is a couple more plecos in there as well. So yeah, that's, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think to do the right thing, I probably need to move that on. And that wasn't part of the plans that I had in the last video about changing my tanks round to fish that I wanted and to moving some fish on. So I'm going to take you in the fish room and I'm going to show you what's going on in the fish room. Now, we're not going to go in depth on every tank. So that tank there is the Parachromis multifasciatus tank with the silver dollars, the spotted silver dollars in. I'm going to do a proper update on that in the next video. That tank there has got the Leonsi in. There is a male on that side and a female on that side. We're going to do that with the Parachromis multifasciatus next time. The green terrors, we did a video on this being the ultimate cichlid that I kept last year. Unbelievable fish, and it's amazing just how many comments I got that actually agreed with me about this fish being phenomenal and being such an ultimate fish. So that video went down well. The Jags are doing great. You can see she's full of eggs and we will have a spawn any day soon. Funny story, that Nitropolis there was in the tank below and I thought I'd lost it because I couldn't find it, and then there was a smaller piece of wood in here before that one. It must have, when I moved the wood from the bottom tank, it must have been inside the wood. There's a groove in the other piece of wood. It must have been in there. And I moved it when these were spawning last time, so obviously it didn't come out. And I thought I'd lost it. And next thing I see it in this tank. So that's the only way it could have got in there. We talked in the last video, well, it weren't the last video, it was the last fish room tour video about moving these Rio Nani into here. This tank is stunning. Love this tank. It's got my group of Rio Nani angelfish which still haven't paired off, so I'm hoping that they're not all the same sex, fingers crossed, but I have had them for probably 8 to 9 months now, but we just need to give them time. And then there's the group of Sturbai Corridoris in there. I think I've got 19 of those in there now, and some of them are big chunks. I got the first lot from the auction back in June, and some of them have absolutely grown. There is a L167 Pleco in there, but obviously it's hiding somewhere. But yeah, really happy with that tank. That was one of the plans we made. We said we were moving the albino Platinum Angels fish on, which is what we did. And this now is big enough for a long time for those angels. So that's worked out well. What else before I take you to the big tank? So I'm just going to take you down low onto this tank down here. And this tank is... This is the tank, right, that if anybody remembers, I did a video on it not being great for passing traffic. So if you look, it's right next to the main door. I reckon there's vibration when the door opens. People said to me on there, why don't you block the side out, you know, and put a backing on, which is, I hadn't done that, but I've done it since. It doesn't seem to do anything. It's got my pair of Nicaraguans, so it's got my original pair of Nicaraguans in here. And some of the Spilaris are in here and some Corydorus. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this pair of Nicaraguans on, because I have their young growing in here. So this is that box that talks about what I quarantine fish in. I also use it for growing fry. These boxes are brilliant. I think this is 35 litres. It's enough to get my fry to a decent size. I've grown angels out in these before. I grew the Trimac in these. Rainbow sticklers. I've grown quite a lot of South American fish out in these boxes. They're great for that. And then I think I'm going to move them into this tank. I think I'm going to use this tank as a grow out tank until I get the actual 2 bigger tanks put in there in the summer. So yeah, I will be moving that pair of Nicaraguans on. Okay, so let's have a look at the big tank. So what's happened in this tank since we did that fish room tour? Now, I spoke about going around my tanks, and you know, I asked a lot of you the question, and a lot of you answered that question around, if you look in your tanks, how many fish that you actually wanted to buy. And so many people, which I already knew, told me that they're the same. They make a lot of impulse buys and they end up with fishing tanks that they never really wanted. So I have pretty much changed most of my tanks, which I've just shown you most of them. Obviously the Parachromis multifasciatus and the Lionci are going to wait for another update. But this tank is a tank that's probably, out of all my tanks, the one that's causing me the problems, because I have moved the Bifasciatus on, I have moved the Waru on, and I've moved the Argentea on, and it's still overstocked. So what do I do with this tank? Because every fish in this tank is a fish that I wanted. Now there's 4 Briodori in there. If you remember, I got a group of 6 at the beginning of last year, and I saw a pair forming, and you know, I moved house and I lost a couple and I ended up with 4. Well, I moved these fish not long ago and I vented them, and I've got a funny feeling I've got 4 females, so that's not ideal. However, it is a fish that was on my list that I wanted for a long time. So worst case scenarios, I'll just keep 2 maybe, but I'm going to leave them for a bit, prioritize them in this tank just to grow them, just so I can be sure. But I haven't had any pairing action in the last 10-11 months, so that I could be right on that. The Etrospia, I don't want to get rid of them. As you know, they are my favourite fish. The Persei, love it. I looked for that fish for a very long time. So, and the thing to take into account for this Persei is it's going to grow into a big, huge fish. The Severum is the nicest Severum I've possibly ever seen, the Inarida Sev. And I love those Nicaraguans. So if I'm getting rid of that pair of Nicaraguans, I'm definitely keeping that pair. So yeah, this is going to be an harder decision to come by, but I am going to have to reduce the stock in this tank. I've got a couple of ideas as to what might be the best option. Maybe go to 2 Etrospia, 2 Briodori. You know, there is a spare Lionci in there, because in the other tank there is a male and a female. My mate Kev gave me a female, and I think there's a possibility he may take that male for his other female. So yeah, it would just be a lot less on the stock. So yeah, I need to decide on that. But that, I would say, this tank at the moment is the only tank now after all the changes that I am having problems with. Check these Jags out. Sorry about the glare, but just check these out. Aren't they amazing? They are absolutely, oh, they're stunning, man. They're stunning. I should get that Neotropus out, really. But yeah. So yeah, that's where we are on the fish room. You know, we made lots of changes over the Christmas period. I have set that little tank up. There is a little pleco, a couple of pleco caves, because a little pleco project, which I'll tell you more about at another time. Unfortunately, I can't show you trigger because the light's gone in that tank, so I've ordered a new one. So, but there's no change with trigger. And then, like I said, I will do an update in the next video on the Parachromis multifasciatus and the Layarn Sai. So, I think that's it. We are in much better place, so let's go and wrap this video up. Okay, so that's where we're up to with the fish room. We've moved on quite a lot in that 4 weeks, and I'm really happy with the progress. We're now going to have to look forward to the next month or so, moving some of them fish on. I have an idea what I want to do. Let me know in the comments what you would do with that tank that's got quite a lot of stock in it, but I kind of have an idea what I want to do. So anyway, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you for all the support that you give me, subscriptions, likes, comments, all those things. It means the world, and I appreciate it so much. Like I always say though, if you're not subscribed and you do watch my channel, consider subscribing. It is free of charge. All you're going to do is press the subscribe button, ping the bell for notifications, and that just lets you know when I've uploaded a video. So it is your choice, so it would be appreciated if you did. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to see you on the next one.